Thanks all for being here. May I ask first, anyone don't speak Spanish? No one? ¿Todos habláis castellano? En ese caso voy a cambiar. But we can do it in English if anyone doesn't understand Spanish. One. So I can do it in English if that's the case. So I'm Kiko Llaneras. I'm the head of data and visualization at El País, the largest newspaper in Spain. And I have a team of 14 journalists. So we are in the newsroom. I'm not in the marketing or in the product department, in the analytics department. We are journalists. We work with data and visualization, but we are producing stories for the newspaper. So the work that I'm going to be talking about is this kind of work. We are working with the maps, with the charts, with the different the statistics part of the news related with data and analytics and visualization. So, but we are working in a newsroom. So we are working with everyday news and on deadline. So this is our work. And I'm going to talk about how are we already using AI. Because AI is going to be a huge transformation for journalism. The impact is going to be huge in both ways. In one hand, it's going to change how we produce journalistic work. So my work is going to be completely transformed in the next year. It's already happening. And it's going to change also the context. We live in an attention economy, and my competition and how readers want to read the news is going to change at the same time. And these two things are different things, how we do the work and what the readers want. But I don't want to talk about the future of journalists, because we don't have answers there. I'm going to talk about what we are already doing. And let me start with an example. This is a 3D reconstruction of the train accidents that happened in January. And we published the story. This was the week of the accident, and we reconstruct the train crash with a 3D model. I'm not going to talk the details, but you have one train. One train goes into the way that is not his way. He touched the second train, and we were explaining here in the story what is happening at each moment. One train is going in that direction, and the other train had a bigger the last part. But so this kind of reconstruction, this was done with help of EA, artificial AI. How? Basically, we have some photos of the trains. We use a generative model to produce better images of the train, and then we use those images to produce a 3D model of the trains. This was done in 3 days. We ran the story the first Sunday after the accident. And this couldn't be done without the help of AI. To produce the model, it was a time-expensive task. So this is the whole video was not produced with AI. It was produced by people in my team, but the train was reconstructed with AI. So this is an example. It's a huge or a large part of for work or in all the process of producing a news story. One of the elements was produced using AI in one of the steps. This is just an example. We are producing more and more interactive charts, basically because, as you know, Cloud Code, it's an amazing programmer. So I have been coding for 25 years now, and I'm not coding anymore. I haven't write a single line of code for the last 3 months, maybe. I'm reading code. I'm producing a lot of code. I'm executing code for revision, but I'm not writing code. And this is In many industries, you are seeing the same thing, but in our cases, this is very new. No? And one of the benefits of that is that producing a chart, a particular map with a particular tooltip, whatever, write it in JavaScript was a time-consuming task. In the journalistic world, I'm working in a story for 3 hours, 2 days, 1 week, 2 weeks. If someone in a newsroom says to you that this is a slow story, we are not in a hurry with that, if maybe it's your boss, he is thinking in publishing it tomorrow or the next day, after tomorrow. So the speed is super important in a newsroom. So now we are producing more interactive charts because we have the time for doing it. No? This is also an example. I want to fill it. We are producing super quick charts. This is an example that many of you are probably experienced, that we can go in seconds from, we have a data set, data from whatever, an Excel file, el Instituto Nacional de Estadística publish some data, and we can basically input those data into Cloud Code, and Cloud Code knows the documentation of Data Wrapper, which is the tool that we are using at El País for producing quick charts, and he writes the charts. So you are in control because here, if you have the good data, so this is you can review that. But this was a process that you need maybe a few minutes to do that, and now it's instantaneously. And of course, you can review. You can do a lot of things. So this is another real example. Similar. A related problem is we publish a lot of election stories about elections. All the red dots are days when my team published a story about an election. So we were covering elections in Spain, but also around the world. We have a big audience in Latin America, but also we are covering elections in France, in Germany, in the United States. So mostly all weeks we have a story about an election. And one of the things that I have been publishing for the last 10 years are prediction models of who is going to win an election based on polls and all. And this was somehow a delicate code base because it's a statistical kind of work, and I have this code that I have been writing it myself for the last 10 years, more than that. And each election, I had to adapt the code, find the good data, and it was somehow a delicate operation, which I typically did myself. But the reality now is that I can automate some of that, most of that work, and now it's a reality that Cloud Code is able to read my code, understand my code, in some sense better than me. And it's better than me adapting that project, which is super narrow in intention, and say, OK, there is a new election in Colombia last week, and he can adapt the code. With my help, he can find the data. He can produce all the charts. He has some knowledge about who is competing in that election, and he can reproduce in minutes 99 scripts, 11 charts, and that. And one of the ideas I have to convey here is this is not making cheap. The work is not being cheaper here. The benefit of that is that we are covering elections that we didn't cover before, because I didn't have the time to cover all the elections we were interested in. So the readers of El País are now receiving more information about an election with a prediction model that they wouldn't read before. So it's making our product better. We are not selling our stories with a price, so it's not cheaper. You have a subscription, so we are not making the product cheaper. We are not producing more volume exactly, so we are not in the, I don't want to produce 100, 1,000 stories. If there is an election in Colombia, I'm going to produce one story about who is winning according to polls. But now the story is going to be better, more interactive, more with an election model, because it's easier to produce those things. And there are a lot of examples. I don't want to go into all of them, but if someone has a question, we can discuss after my talk. We are doing deep research extensively as superhuman at that. He is very useful to as a second brain. He knows all the things I'm reading, and he can resurface ideas, my own ideas, to put in my newsletter, for example. And we are producing, as I was saying, stories that were impossible that wouldn't exist without the AI. This is another example. A few weeks ago, the government published the classified 900 documents about the Spanish COP of 1981. And I have the idea, could we produce a visual search engine? This was possible or not. I didn't know if that was possible, but Claude Code was able to do that. We have the documents. You could look at the documents one by one. These were like 100 PDFs. But you can also search in all the documents at the same time, visually. So I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know if that was possible to do. And it was possible to do in 2 hours. And we ran the tool in 2 days after the classification of the document. So this is another example now. You can prototype in a superhuman way. And I'm respecting the time. 3 lessons that I think we have been using AI for the last 2 years, super intensively in the last 6 months. And I have 3 lessons, my own 3 lessons, that I think that can help anyone, or they are useful for me. The first one is to add a lot of context to the AI. If you're working with ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, or whatever, I like to think of the context of the models like it is like, I think, to think in a world like that. And you can put a lot of documents, like thousands of pages, in that wall. And for a human, reading thousands of pages, it's somehow detrimental. No? More pages is not always better, because you have to select, and your attention is limited. We are all discussing, but the attention, the ability to attend to a lot of documents simultaneously for an LLM is huge. So you think about thousands of words there, and he can look at those simultaneously. So add more context when you are working with an LLM. For instance, if you are working in a project, you can add 3 other projects so that Claude knows how is your style, how you like the writing, how long it is, what preferences, if you code using R or using Python with language. A lot of things that are in your mind, it's in your examples. So providing more examples is super useful. So there is a point where more is not better, but this is not the point where more information is bad for the model is not the same point where it's bad for your mind. So add more context, it's better in general. Second, and more important, demand a trail. So Claude or ChatGPT, they do a lot of things, but they don't document everything they do. And I like to push it or force it to document everything, in the sense of, if you are using some sources, I want to keep a list of sources that you're using, and I want to keep a list of links. And I want to reproduce, being able to reproduce the code. So force him to use, to let a trail so that you can reproduce their work. It's the only way you can check that it's correct. And finally, for me, it has been very important to use part of the time that the AI is liberating for you to come back to the notebook and write more things down. So write more things, so to have a plan of what you want the AI to do, and then spend more time reviewing. This is super difficult to do in reality, because the low resistant path is to ask for things, let the AI doing the things, and then you don't look at the results even. So this is what you don't have to do. So use part of the time that you are gaining to plan what you want to achieve, and then review that it's correct. Thank you very much. Thank you.